I'm Terry Connor, Superintendent of Sarasota County Schools, and I'm happy to announce In Tune, a new podcast to take you inside of the Sarasota County School District and showcase the work of our outstanding students and staff. Our goal is to answer your questions on education-related topics and highlight some of the great work that happens every day, keeping you in tune with what's happening in our schools. We'll have lively discussions on topics like school safety, school choice, mental health, summer learning, and much more. I hope you find this podcast engaging and insightful. The first episode covers school choice and controlled open enrollment, something we know many of our families have an interest in and want to be kept in tune.
I'm Chris Parento with Sarasota County Schools and your host for this episode. At the beginning of February, our school choice and controlled open enrollment window began. This time period gives parents the chance to explore opportunities within the district for their child. We know many of you have questions about how the process works, so joining me is Millie Wheeler, our district supervisor of school choice, to answer many of these questions. Millie, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
For those who are unfamiliar with it, can you just talk about the school choice controlled open enrollment process, what it is and how it works?
Absolutely. So school choice is an option, an application that's available to all residents in the state of Florida. And what it does is it gives families the opportunity to apply for a school with capacity that's outside of their zoned or districted school that they would be assigned to based on their address.
That application process, can you walk us through it?
Yeah, so it's a little bit different. It can be a little bit different throughout the state, but it's basically there's an open application period that's set by each district. In this district, it's typically the month of February, and the families will fill out an application with some basic information about their student and which schools they might be interested in. Then at the end of that application period, all of those applications will go into a pot and are sorted, and it's really based on a randomized lottery. There are some set preferences per statute that a family could receive that are limited to things like if you're an active military family or perhaps you were a change of placement due to foster care. But for the most part, it truly is a randomized lottery based on the number of seats available at each grade level at each school.
What are some of the different options that we have available within our schools here in Sarasota County?
So outside of that, what people know of as that traditional controlled open enrollment or school choice lottery, we have a ton of school choice options in Sarasota County. One of our most popular options is we have a lot of schools with unique programming that we call magnet schools or magnet programs. Those are all managed by the individual schools. So if a family was interested in, say, a visual performing arts program or an advanced studies program, they could look into those at the individual school level and then apply directly with that program.
Let's say somebody's getting into one of these programs for the very first time for their student. Is this something they have to reapply for every single school year?
That is a great question. Once a family is placed in a school of choice, either through reassignment or choice or on a magnet, as long as their status they remain in good status with that school, they do not have to reapply annually. That choice seat would be good for the highest grade level that is offered at that school.
Let's say I'm applying for my student for choice at a school that's maybe 30 minutes from where I live. Does the district provide transportation for that?
That is another great question. Traditional school choice does not come with transportation. There are some limited transportation options for a handful of our magnet programs, but for the most part, most school choice options do not come with district-provided transportation. That would be a responsibility of the parents.
You talked a little bit about this earlier with the lottery and how it works and some of those statutory requirements for what may get preference. Can you elaborate on that just a little bit more?
So there are a set number of priorities per the law that a family could receive, basically a weighted application in the lottery. If you are interested in what exactly those are, you can read the list on our website. I mentioned a few, but it's really a pretty short list. It still doesn't guarantee a seat. It just gives you a weighted preference. So if there's a limited number of seats at the grade level that you are applying for, then you will have a slightly better chance of getting one of those seats. But for all of our families, regardless of whether or not they qualify for one of those preferences. If they do not receive a seat in the lottery, every family will be placed on a wait list. And we maintain that wait list throughout the year. And at certain points in the year, we reevaluate capacity at each school and by each grade level. And if a seat becomes available, then we'll reach out to that family and offer them an opportunity at that time to see if they're still interested in that seat.
So the window opened on February 1st. When does the window close? Is this the only window? If parents miss out on this one, do they have to wait until next school year?
So the window will be open for the whole month. This is a leap year, so we get one extra day, but it'll be open for the whole month of February, and then it will close. And it will take us a little bit. I always like to tell families it takes a little bit to make sure that we can have to validate the preferences, make sure the data's, names are spelled correctly. It's all cleaned up before we can run the lottery. So typically families get an award status at the beginning of April. This year we are in the process of transitioning to a new student information system and parent portal. So it will be unique in that they will be able to accept or decline the seat in that parent portal, but directions will be in the email. So definitely keep an eye on your inbox to receive that notification. But within that notification, I always like to remind parents that there is a timeline by which they do have to accept or decline the seat. And if they don't go in and accept or decline by that deadline, it will be automatically declined. And that gives us an opportunity to offer the seat to the next person on the wait list. So pay attention to those emails and those timelines. You want to make sure you don't miss that notification and you get in and accept that seat if you really want it. And we do usually give a week or more for families to do that. We want you to have enough time to figure that out, but it is important that you accept the seat if you truly want it. After that school choice window, the next opportunity to be assigned to a school other than the one you're zoned for would be what we call a reassignment. And reassignments are pretty unique to Sarasota County. That's an additional opportunity that we afford our families that not all districts do. Reassignments are based on a set of qualifying preferences as well that are similar to choice and include the magnet status and some other things. But in addition to that, per a recent statutory update, we've added the opportunity that if a school continues to have capacity even after that choice window, there might still be an opportunity to apply for that school. It's not true for all of our schools. Many of our schools are just at or above capacity due to the recent growth in our area, but some of our schools, just because of the way they were built, have more capacity. So if they continue to have space, for that additional opportunity for families to apply through reassignment.
Through this controlled open enrollment application process, if one child gets in, does the other child, say that a family has 1, 2, maybe 3 children in the same school, does that child also get in?
So that's sort of a twofold answer. If a family is applying for a school where they already have a child attending, then they will get what's called a sibling preference. So let's say they have a 3rd grader currently attending a school and they have an incoming kindergartner, then that kindergartner would get a weight in the lottery because they already have a sibling there. But also, if a family is coming in with, let's say, a set of twins, or they just moved into the area and they've got a 1st grader and a 4th grader and they want them to attend the same school, those applications will be looked at together because we know that would be a hardship for a family to have double drop-offs. So they get reviewed together. Where that becomes complicated is if the school that they're applying to has a grade, an opening in 1st grade, but maybe not in 4th grade. So we really encourage all of our families to pay careful attention to that capacity and availability prior to filling out that application, because we want them making choices based on where they could possibly be placed and not just sort of guaranteeing a waitlist placement.
For families who are looking for additional information, additional resources, where can they go to find information about this application process?
All of this information and the links to the applications as they become available are available on the Sarasota County Schools website. So that can be accessed at sarasotacountyschools.net. And if you type in sarasotacountyschools.net/school choice, it should take you right there, or you can certainly go to the homepage, click on the little magnifying glass and type in school choice.
Millie, thank you again so much for your insight and for joining us. And thank you to everyone who listened. Don't forget, if you do have any questions about school choice, you can go to sarasotacountyschools.net/school choice for more information. And if you have any questions about what we've discussed today or additional topics you'd like to learn more about, you can go to sarasotacountyschools.net and search podcast to submit any questions you may have. We hope you've enjoyed this discussion and hope you'll join us for our next episode of the Sarasota County Schools In Tune podcast.